Rosie tells this story better than I do.
We met on a train between Idaho and Iowa going home for Christmas. And we struck up a conversation and found out that he was in Mountain Home. And then finally I asked him, I said, well, where are you from? He said, well, I'm from Minneapolis. And I said, well, are you by any chance Gerry Wilson? And of course he about fell off the train.
Yeah, I did. That was a shock.
He didn't have a chance, did you?
Yeah, she's right. I didn't have a chance. Yeah, when I got my orders, it said Mountain Home Air Force Base. I had no idea where it was, but it sure sounded really good. A base near a mountain. And as we got off the train, we got on the Air Force bus, and instead of heading toward Sun Valley, it did the opposite. Went out to the Great American Desert. And we all kind of hated it. But after a while, we really fell in love with Idaho. And add to that, a very special lady sitting right next to me.
So Gerry called and, would I like to go to the Officers Club party? And I said, sure. He said, well, I'll get a ride into town. Well, he was too late, everybody had gone. In the meantime, my roommate said, why don't you drive out? I said, I can't do that. And she said, yes, you can. And so he said, I'll tell them at the gate that you're coming, and then I'll be waiting at the Officers Club. Well, the guard changed, so they didn't have a clue who I was. But evidently I looked honest, they let me in. I get to the Officers Club, and in the pitch black, there's nothing. And this figure came out of the black, and it was a man, and I said, I'm sorry to be forward, but could I walk in with you? I have a date with Gerry Wilson. He said, oh, Gerry, I'm his commanding officer. So he went and he found Gerry, and then we had a wonderful evening. Then it was late, and we drove back to Boise, and the hotels were all full, so he slept in our living room.
So I slept in the same house on the first night of the date.
Yeah. Now it's nothing. And then you got transferred.
Yes, I did. I got transferred to St. Louis, to a base there, Scott Air Force Base. And subsequently, our outfit was scheduled to go to England. So we weren't really talking about if we should get married. It kind of
evolved into when.
And so before England or after England. And Rosie said, no way are you going to England by yourself.
Me. Yeah.
And so you scheduled the wedding, didn't you?
Well,
right.
I was going back to meet Gerry's family in Minneapolis, and so I kind of went to our church and kind of just checked what weekends were available.
Well,
he didn't know that we were going to get married, but I thought. So then, when I was in Minneapolis, then he said, well, it's not if anymore, it's when. I said, well, how about August 2nd? Church is available.
Didn't have to get a tux. We were married in our uniform. I had our best man there for the base and so on. But our plans to go to England were canceled. I got orders to report to Korea.
We rode every night, and we planned our future. And I think it gave us a good start when we got back together.
So anyway, being away for a year had its advantages. It gave us a chance to save money.
It was easier than had we been married a long while. We weren't even yet, and we had no children.
Rosie got a job as a home economist for the public utility company, Northern States Power, and between the two of us, we had enough money to pay the rent at least and so on. And this was before women were working very much. But I was very proud of the fact that she was working. And then subsequently we were transferred to Austin, Minnesota, where We lived there for 10 years, but we kind of looked at each other and said, you know what? We like skiing and everything. Let's go west.
Oh, but you forgot one little thing.
We got kids.
4 kids. We adopted, and then we had 3 naturals in 2.5 years. So, boy, our cup runneth over. We were so happy.
Yeah. When word got out that I was willing to move west, the executive vice president of the firm said, have you ever thought of moving to Los Angeles? And I said, no way. L.A. didn't appeal to me at all, or Rosie. He said, well, don't say no too quickly. And they made me an offer I couldn't refuse and so forth. And long story short, we ended up in L.A.
When we moved to LA, we moved to a small town called San Marino. We were there about a year, and we discovered South Pasadena, which was very much like the Midwest.
We had a fairly sizable backyard, and pretty soon it kind of became the meeting place.
If there was more than one car, parties on at Wilson's. We felt that if you have a big house, you need to share it.
And we always had dinner together. And we encouraged differences of opinion. And I think our kids learned a lot in that regard. And they certainly learned how to be helpful to society by giving rather than taking.
Yeah. We got a phone call from Bill, and I answered the phone, and he says, hey, do you want to buy a winery? Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, you're crazy. He said, Will, you made rhubarb and dandelion wine in Austin. And I said, well, I don't think that qualifies as. And he said, well, okay. Think of it as a lifestyle change for the whole family. There's a little winery for sale in Temecula, and we think it would be fun to do that, all of us together.
We all as a family went down and checked out this small, affordable winery. And that's an oxymoron, affordable winery. But we kind of fell in love with the concept.
The concept of all of us working together.
Working together as a family. We negotiated for about 4 or 5 months, actually, and came to an agreement, and he changed his mind, which is the best thing that ever happened to us because it was in a different location, and this property that we're on became available, and that's how we basically got started. Now, people said, well, what qualified you to go into this business? And my answer to that is zip. But we did drink wine, but we weren't wine connoisseurs by any stretch of the imagination. We got into it and learned a lot on the job and so forth. We all pitched in, worked together. We were wearing tool belts ourselves for the first time. Looking back at it, it was a delightful experience, really. It's a job making people feel welcome. People say, well, what do you and Rosie do? I said, well, right now, the kids do the work and we come down and take the credit.
We joke that, you know, during all this time, the kids did all the work and they took all the credit, and they did not take the credit. You know, they absolutely believe the team is doing an incredible job and are just nothing but praise on them.
We have a wonderful family, and we have an extended family of our staff that we adore them all, and our wine club, and friends in the community. And we just feel we have wonderful, wonderful friends, and we're so thankful.
I have complete confidence that our family will do just fine, and hopefully they'll do better than we do.
Rosie and Gerry are a combination of loving, gracious, and funny.
Just tell them how brilliant I am.
When Rosie walks into the room, I watch my dad light up. He just adores her.
And the way my dad always looks at my mom is just melts your heart. He'll just do this. And oh, that gets me every time.
I have total faith that not only our first generation children, but our grandchildren, and I see our great grandchildren coming along. I'm just so proud of all of them.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that we started this business is for the family to reunite. And that says something about who Rosie and Gerry are. that the kids wanted to come back and be with them and to be together.
To see the two of them be so much in love is probably one of the best things that they've taught me, to just love through everything, and the love that those two look into each other's eyes, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, we got a lot to be thankful for.
So it really is a testament to who they are that the kids who were scattered came back to be together and be with them. They really are the heart of Wilson Creek.
I'm not really quite sure how to put this into words. How much I love you both, and what you have done for me through my life and now my family is unheard of.
And a huge thank you. You guys are my idols. You're my best friends. I love you. Cheers.
I'm so proud of our kids, what they have done in making this go forward. And we look around, two of us, and can you believe this? And
When we look down the hill and see down there, and we think,
we are really living the dream. Start out in the morning, there's hot air balloons floating around. During the day, there's wonderful people coming in.
from all over the world,
In the evening, you can see the stars.
you can just reach up
We
and touch
didn't
them.
see that in LA too much. And to have all your kids and grandkids and great grandkids that we can get together, it's a real blessing. We've been so fortunate. I jokingly say to people, say, well, how's your family? I said, we're still talking to each other and we really love each other.